Hey guys, Professor Bell Comic Book University and Captain Marvel issue number 7. This is a War of the Realms tie-in. This is a good book. There's a spoiler at the end of this book about the War of the Realms, though. This takes place like 10 days after the end of the War of the Realms. And it turns out everything's okay. I totally didn't see that coming. I thought this was going to change the face of the Marvel Universe forever. Anyway, this was a really good book. Of course, you have to read it with the previous issue, issue number 6. Really good story. For just a lousy 2-part story, really good. Writer Kelly Thompson, guest artist Anna Paula Martello, color artist Tamara Bonvillain, VC's Clayton Cowles on letters, and the cover artists are Amanda Connor and Dave Johnson. Beautiful cover, by the way. And yeah, that's about it. So, Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange have their bodies switched in the previous issue by the Enchantress, but they've got to take down the Enchantress. I'm dying here. Because Black Widow saw a vision when she got too close to the Enchantress. She saw a vision that those 3 individuals, Black Widow, Doctor Strange, and Carol Danvers, were the ones to take down the Enchantress. So they had to get there. But Enchantress wound up seeing the vision also, so she switches their bodies. Now, these two have to figure out how to use their own powers. Because yes, Doctor Strange's power should have stayed with Doctor Strange no matter what body he's in, because that's a part of your psyche, not your body. Yet, the Enchantress was smart enough to actually keep the magic in his body. Weird thing, but whatever. She's Asgardian. Her understanding of magic goes back thousands of years. Technically, so does Strange's, but we're not going to get into that now. Captain Marvel has to learn this magic, and she's actually doing a fairly good job. She's also making very convincing arguments. There are several different holding spells, and I think this is the first time it was ever addressed, and it wasn't even in a Doctor Strange book. But, you know, we said lots of different things like the Eldritch bolts and the bolts of Balthak and the bolts of, I forget some of them. There's a bunch of different bands. Also, the Crimson Bands of Sidorak are the most powerful ones, but here she's told to use a different set of bands. What do you call it? And she, Doctor Strange, who's in Carol Danvers' body, is like, yeah, but you're not ready for that level. She's like, yeah, but isn't this like a really powerful sorceress, you know, Asgardian goddess? So don't we need to pull out all the stops? It's like, you're right. Okay, study down extra hard because here we go. I like that. One of the best things I like about comic books are those little things that you don't notice unless you're kind of paying attention. The background scene when Strange and Danvers are talking is great because you get to see they're in what do you call it, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, at the Brazil at this point. And Black Widow gets into a fist fight basically with a crocodile. And it was hysterical. And I'm just thinking about this was hysterical in the background having this happen. And at one point she actually like does some kind of a crazy high kick on the damn crocodile. Doctor Strange has to use Carol Danvers' powers. He goes binary very briefly, which is cool. I do feel that him understanding how to use her powers should be almost as difficult as him learning magic. Learning magic is logic with a whole lot of abstract, right? But learning how to just use something from within you, this is something intrinsic. That intrinsic doesn't happen utilitarian style. And magic should be utilitarian. Go figure, of all things, right? It should be. There should be a science behind it, that understanding behind it. But being able to pull out, especially Carol Danvers' powers, like as ridiculously powerful as they are, but she keeps them under wrap all the time. I'm almost surprised that he didn't completely, Nova Blast once he went to her body, because like she's containing a lot of freaking power, but he does the Nova Blast. That was probably the least realistic part about this comic book as far as comic books go, because like, I don't know, Strange is pulling out some weak shields and yet somehow he's able to be point blank, ground zero with that binary Nova Blast, and he's perfectly okay, which is weird. Anyway, all in all, this was by he I mean actually she, Carol Danvers. See, pronouns. All in all, this was a great way to just wrap up the comic book. You knew this had to happen because we started the comic book out pretty much, in the previous issue with the ending to this issue. But that being said, it was a very fun ride. So definitely, this is one of the good tie-ins for the War of the Realms. Get both issues, check them out. Good for a whole lot of laughs. This is Carol Danvers just having fun. It's funny. The people who complain about Carol Danvers, they're not misogynistic or anything, right? Right? Saying Carl Manvers and nonsense like that. One of the things they say is that she's not drawn sexy enough and she doesn't know how to just have fun, let loose and have fun. Okay, well, she's drawn very beautifully here. Like, that's sexy. That's sexy. How you doing? And she has a lot of fun in this comic book. Smiles, jokes. It feels like a good, fun adventure. Yeah, so I guess it means everybody's going to like this book now, right? Because we're not hating on things just to hate them. Anyway, guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.